We are now joined by James Crummel, anchor for NewsNation affiliate WHTM in Harrisburg. Good to have you with us. And, you know, viewers weighed in and declared Dr. Oz the winner of the debate. 41% say Fetterman won, 59% saying Dr. Oz won. So do you think that viewers were empathetic to what Fetterman was going through?
Yeah, good morning to you, Adrienne. Thank you so much for having me on the program. It's a pleasure to be here. I think that this is a very interesting debate. This was the first time people here in Pennsylvania got to see Dr. Oz and John Fetterman on the same stage at the same time. And for many of them, it was their very first time getting a chance to see John Fetterman since the stroke. And I think for a lot of viewers, it was very jarring seeing him last night as opposed to earlier before he had that stroke. So I do think there is going to be a really big split between people who looked at him last night and felt this was very different than what I'm used to, and those who are saying, you know, I'm very sympathetic towards him because of the health issues that he's battling on that stage.
Did Fetterman's campaign do enough in preparing him and setting him up, or in tempering expectations for what was, again, like you said, a jarring performance?
Yeah, Adrienne, so I think that it was very clear just from watching the debate that Fetterman had practiced and that there were key points he wanted to get across. Something that I had never seen before, and also something that was very unprecedented in this debate, was this closed captioning system. I work at the station where this debate was held, so I was in that room. I saw how the captioning system worked with the closed captioners and their live captioning as everything that was going on. I think they had a rehearsal over the weekend. They saw how this captioning system went, and it does, you know, it takes time to read the question and reading the conversation as it's going on live on the air. So there were a bit of a delay from him reading what was on the screen and then him answering. And I do think that they had time to practice for that, but I also think they knew going into this debate what we were going to see, because something else I've never really seen before was this campaign, even before the debate, they put out a statement talking about how Oz had a very big advantage because he was already on TV, and basically conceded that John Fetterman would not win this debate. They lowered the expectations just about as low as you could for him last night, and admitted that he would not win the debate, but then went on to say that he would still win the race.
And Dr. Oz tried to paint himself as the candidate for change. I think that effectively he talked about how moderate he was, and that John Fetterman was an extremist, which he's saying voters are not looking for. Do you think he was successful?
Adrienne, another good point, because I definitely think that is what Dr. Oz's strategy was, because something else that he did not do, which something that he did do earlier in the campaign, and now he has backtracked from that, he did not talk about Fetterman's health at all on that stage. He let Fetterman speak for himself. And as you mentioned, a lot of his positions seem to be moving more towards that center. He even at the end, as he was talking about being that candidate for change, he also talked about being the candidate that could bring two sides together. So his strategy clearly was to show that he was a little bit more moderate. He wasn't on the extreme left or right, and that he was someone who could bring in a lot of Democrats and Republicans. And that is key in this election here in Pennsylvania, because the polls, Adrienne, are so close, and it's going to take some of those independent voters and some of those voters who have not yet made up their mind. It's going to take someone speaking directly to them, saying that they can work with both sides. And that clearly was his strategy. We'll see if that works on Election Day.
All right, James Crummel from our affiliate there in Harrisburg, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.